Welcome to another episode of Ingrid's World. I am your host, Ingrid Paris-Hicklin. On this show, meet the Oblate Sisters of Providence. They are the first successful Roman Catholic sisterhood established by women of African descent in the world. For over 175 years, they have served in 18 states, 25 American cities, and 6 foreign countries. Then we will meet a couple from Virginia. You'll learn how they adopted children, creating a diverse family of 11 sons. They are Black, they're white, they're Vietnamese and Chinese. They will share their journey. So welcome to another episode of Ingrid's World. Well, Sister Marsha, welcome.
Thank you.
And Sister
Rita Michelle,
thank you. And I needed to shake your hand also.
Thank you.
I'm thrilled to have you both here on the show. Well, you know, I had the opportunity of visiting. I actually came there for a luncheon with Dr. Wilkerson, and I was like amazed to meet you all there. So let's tell our viewers a little bit about the Oblate Sisters of Providence.
Well, the Oblate Sisters of Providence were founded in 1829 by Elizabeth Clarissa Lang. She was born in Cuba of Haitian parentage. She came to Baltimore in the early 1800s, and she established a school in her home for the children of Haitian refugees. We believe that for a long time she harbored a desire to be a sister, but that wasn't meant to be for a while. And then she met a priest, Father James Hector Nicholas Joubert. What a name, right? He was from France, had fled the French Revolution, had ended up in Baltimore, became first a teacher in a girls' school and then a Sulpician priest. So he was put in charge of the religious education program, but struggled. And so the previous director, Father Tessier, said, I know just the person you need to meet, Elizabeth Lang. So he went to her house and said, I'd like to establish a more permanent school for these children. And she said to him, we've been thinking, because she ran the school with one of her friends, we've been thinking about becoming sisters. And he went to the Archbishop. Archbishop said, the finger of God is in this. He thought it was a grand idea. So the school actually came first. The school was established. The school came first. It was established in June of 1828.
Wow.
And then the 2 women, plus another friend and one of their students, sort of went into formation. They started training, as it were, to be sisters. And then in July 2nd of 1829, they became the first 4 Oblate Sisters of Providence. So we've actually been around over 185 years.
85 years,
Yes.
absolutely. That's amazing. And in fact, our viewers are going to see a picture of Mother Lang.
Okay.
Yeah. So, you know, as we look at that, you know, so you told us a little bit about the history about what's the mission, because you all are quite very powerful here. What's the mission of the Oblate Sisters?
Well, I feel that the mission is what it was back in 1828, and that is to continue to provide for young boys and girls a Catholic education. In those days when Mother Lang first established the school, of course, there weren't many people open to having teaching of children of color, as they were referred to in those days. So she knew she wanted to teach them about God, and one way to do that was to teach them to read, in order that they could read their catechism. So as we move up to 2017, certainly we know that that mission continues today, to educate all children in order that they can draw closer and live out their full potential.
You know, and education, we know, is what it's all about. The person who brought me first to Providence actually was taught by the Oblate Sisters. And of course now she's a physician, so that's just a perfect example of how powerful the work that you all do. Tell us a little bit about the ministries that you have.
Okay, well, in the Mother House itself, we have a child development center for infants through kindergarten. We have a math and reading center, which is individualized tutoring. So anyone from child to adult can come in, they're assessed where they are, and then they meet with a sister on an individual basis to bring them up to a certain level. Outside of the Mother House, we have St. Francis Academy, which was the school that Mother Lang founded. It's still in existence.
It's still in existence?
It is still in existence, yes.
Wow.
And we have sisters who work in parishes and with religious education programs. Sister Rita can tell you a little bit about what she does.
Yeah.
Please tell us.
Currently, I'm the campus minister of 2 schools in Baltimore, and what that means is that I am like the spiritual director, and I prepare the masses, the prayer service that all the students participate in, as well as any service projects that we have. So one school is predominantly African American, the other school is 60% Hispanic and African American and white, so it's much more diversified. And I also teach 7th and 8th grade religion classes.
Oh my goodness.
So that's a very interesting job.
I'm glad we were able to get on your schedule.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. That's like so important. How many students do you have? Just in those?
In one school, there is approximately 230 students, and then in the other school, it's about 200, I believe, at this time.
Oh my goodness.
So.
No, that's no joke. So, you know, when people, well, first of all, before we talk about volunteer opportunities, you brought some beautiful things here, and can you tell our viewers about some of the things that you have here for us?
This is a prayer card. It has the prayer for the beatification of Mother Lang. Our foundress is on the road to sainthood, and so our community says this prayer every day together. This brochure also has the prayer in it, but it gives you a summary of her life.
Oh, wow.
So if you don't know anything about the community, this is good. This is a pictorial history of the community that was put together by our archivist. And as you know, what's great about this is the pictures.
Yes.
So I'm the one that posts on the Facebook page, and I get the pictures from the archives, and people, particularly our graduates, love the pictures.
Oh, yes.
So this is a newsletter that I'll say quarterly goes out. Current information about. So on the cover of this is our jubilarians. We had 3 jubilarians last year. We have 2 this year.
Wonderful.
This is our response to love, which is really our fundraising. It's an ongoing, has an envelope inside for people to donate. Diane Batts-Morrow wrote this book, Persons of Color and Religious at the Same Time. It's really about the first 40 years, believe it or not, of the community.
The first 40 years.
Yes, and she's working on the 2nd volume now, which I think will at least double the number of years that she covers.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So.
Oh, that's like really, so this is, it's so important, you know, that, you know, before I visited and I had the opportunity of coming to, I guess it was a luncheon, it was a beautiful.
It was a tea, our tea fundraiser.
The tea was wonderful, and I was truly in shock. I was like, well, I was taught by the Sisters of Charity. I didn't know about this, and I'm thinking that I know some of that. Well, hopefully through this show, more people will know about the wonderful work that you do. So that brings me to my next question. So if viewers out there watching this and they're saying, okay, I really like what you all are doing, you know, how can a person get involved and help? Are there opportunities? Are there vehicles?
Well, we do, as we said, we have missions here, well, in Baltimore. The daycare center, we have 2 schools that we are intimately related to, and as well as our high school, St. Francis Academy. So all of those can provide opportunity for service and volunteers to come in and work with the children. You just go through the proper channels, and that can certainly happen. I would say, and we have a mission in Buffalo, New York. Now, if there is someone living up in New York, they could make contact with the sisters up there, the Oblate Sisters, as well as in Miami and Costa Rica.
My goodness, so lots of opportunities for service. And I think that that's what's really important. And then, your website, because we are going to also show a wonderful, and in fact, I'm going to, actually, Sister Marcia, if you'll introduce the video that we're going to be showing. But before that, where can we find more information on Oblate Sisters?
www.oblatesisters.com.
I love it. I love it. And it's a robust website. I have to compliment you all because it's nice. It's very interesting and it's easy. So it's not, let's say, it's not daunting, but it makes you want to really read and look at it and find it. So I think that's like so. How many sisters do you have right now in the convent right now?
In the Mother House, there are about 40 sisters.
There's 40. That's outstanding. And they manage all the different. They teach at the different schools there, or they're in different.
Well, actually, the Mother House has most of the retired sisters, but really, retired means you're doing work in the Mother House. It means that you're not out on mission somewhere.
Okay, so you're doing work there. Because I was really surprised when I was given a tour by Sister Catherine, I believe. She showed me like it was a daycare center there too.
Yes.
So, wow, that's fantastic. And so you do other things there at the Mother House also. Great. So now let me get you to introduce the video that we're going to be seeing. We're going to see a story on the video that you have on your website.
In her words.
In her words.
In her words. One of our graduates from St. Francis Academy, Janice Curtis Green, is a storyteller. She's a griot, and she performs as Mother Lang. And in this, she is sitting there paying bills and talking about the difficulties of being Mother Lang and what the problems, the challenges, the joys in the early years.
Wonderful. So everyone, please stay right there. We're going to get a chance to see this wonderful video. It's called, as Sister Marsha just said, In Her Words, but it's just really powerful, and you'll get a chance to really, and if you want to see the whole thing, you can go back to the website. After that, then we'll be speaking with Alan and Debbie White and listening to their story. So please stay right there, and thank you for tuning into Ingrid's World.
Bills and children, they always seem to be plentiful. The bills we pay and the children we help. The Oblate Sisters of Providence are here to serve. Sometimes I don't know where the money is going to come from, but then in my heart I really do. God will provide, as He always does. I remember in the beginning, it was hard then. I remember my good friend Madeline and I wanted to teach children in a school, but in our hearts, we wanted to become religious women of God, to dedicate our full lives to the service of God. But there were no orders that would take women our kind. We thought perhaps maybe we could start on our own, but who would have thought that a man trained for battle would end up becoming a dear, gentle priest? Father Hector Joubert, sent here to work at St. Mary's Seminary. He wanted to teach the children their catechism, but how can you teach children if they can't read or write? He'd heard about our school. He came to Madeline and I, and he asked us if we would take these children in and teach them so that they could find out about God. What a wonderful task to help children find out about God. And then it was like a voice in my spirit that said, now, my daughter, I have opened the door for you. Now is the time. So I told Father Joubert what we wanted to do, and we prayed that night together. And he agreed to take our cause before Bishop Whitfield and get his permission. And he did. Father Joubert told me that Bishop Whitfield said he saw the finger of God in what we were proposing. He said, go and don't let anyone stop you.
Well, welcome to the show, Ellen White.
Thank you.
Great,
you for having us.
and Debbie White.
Great, thank you.
Well, you never know when you talk to someone at, at a gourmet club, and then all of a sudden they're going like, okay, I need you to be on a television show. That's how it happens. So let's first talk about your family, because that's what struck me. We were all having lunch together, and you started talking about your family. So tell us a little bit about who would like to take it first?
Okay, we have 11 sons. I'll go first here. We have 11 sons. Alan has 2 sons from his first marriage, and I have 2. Then we have 3 sons that were permanent foster care. They were refugee children, 2 from Vietnam and 1 from China. And then we have 4 sons that we adopted from foster care from Norfolk. We also have 7 grandchildren now.
Yes, 7 grandchildren.
Yes, we do.
Wow.
So our children range in age from 21 to 43.
To 43?
Yep.
Yes.
Well, what motivated you to adopt? Because that's 4 children, that's a lot, but 11?
Yeah, I was motivated because I was watching a PBS program on adoption. And they interviewed a couple of the girls that were there. I guess they were like 12, 13 years old, and they weren't very excited about the program or being there, because they said that they would never be adopted because they were too old.
Wow.
And it kind of touched my heart, because I saw that they had no hope. And I just really, my heart went out, and I made a promise to the Almighty that if I was ever in the position to adopt, I would. And I would adopt someone that was older.
And you would adopt someone that was older?
Yes, and so we adopted, I meant to adopt one that was older and a female, but we adopted 4 that were older, and they were boys.
And they were all boys?
All boys. Brothers, yeah. We were going to adopt just 1 girl, like Alan said, but then we went to an adoption party in Norfolk, and we met the 4 boys, and the oldest one, well, all the children there at the party had like name tags, and if they had siblings, they would have matching name tags, like there would be 3 red bears or 2 green elephants or whatever. And so the oldest of the 4 didn't have anything on his name tag, and I was talking to him and just was really impressed by him. He was 14. Well, then anyway, we found out that he had 3 younger brothers who were 11, 9, and 8. So we asked, well, why doesn't he have, the same thing on it, the number on his name tag? And his social worker said that he told her he was too old, nobody would want him, and nobody would ever take 4 African American boys. So he just wanted her to find a home for his brothers. So, we just said right there on the spot, okay, we'll take them. And I think about a week later they moved in with us.
A week later they moved in with you.
A week later.
So now tell us a little bit about your children.
Well, okay, like I say, Alan has, two older sons, and I had 2. And then we had the 1 from Vietnam, and or 2 from Vietnam rather, and then 1 from China, and they had all grown up. And then that's when we adopted the 4. And the 2 from Vietnam and the 1 from China all have incredible stories as to how they got here too. But there's not enough time, for that. But,
well, it was. but you said something to me when we had, when we were having lunch together, and you said that they came in a container or something
right,
like that?
one of the, yes, the one from China, he was smuggled here by like human traffickers, and was shipped here like in a shipping container with 15 other boys, and was picked up by immigration, and they had no idea what to do with them. They were like 14, 15 years old. So they were placed with Catholic Charities, and since we already had the son from Vietnam who was placed, through Catholic Charities, they called and asked, could you possibly take maybe one or two, and then that night happened to be the night that Alan's youngest son was graduating from high school. Wow. So when we got home that night, she was sitting in the driveway, and she actually had 4 boys with her. And so they stayed for a few weeks, and then one of them was left there permanently, and then the other 3, she found other placements for them.
So when I say also, what has been like the challenge of expanding your family?
It really, we thought there would be a challenge, and of course we spoke to our older children about what we were planning on doing, and they just said, okay. It wasn't a big deal to them, and they expected. Actually, they said they even expected us to do it.
They did.
Yeah.
Such giving parents.
Anyway, so everybody just fit together. Yeah. We didn't have any personal conflicts or any conflicts like that.
It was meant to be. Sounds like it.
I hope, yep.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they do. They really get along, really well. And, the older kids, even the younger ones are still young adults now, too. But, they're still concerned about them, and, everybody pitches in. And so.
They're concerned about each other.
And they're concerned about each other.
And the grandkids.
And the grandkids, too. So we are showing our viewers, we have a beautiful, large photo of all of you, all the 11 sons together. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And so that was, I think, when I was reading it seems like one of the children was on television?
Right. My youngest biological son is a writer and a stand-up comic, and he was a contestant and actually a finalist on Last Comic Standing. And so
I know that show.
And because of our story, they came to our house, and most of his jokes are about our family.
Oh dear.
And so, so they came and filmed us, spent the day at our house, and so one of the pictures is from that.
Yeah, I was reading some of his jokes. I was like, oh my goodness. Yeah. But it's all wonderful. It's a wonderful way, of expressing. Yeah. Oh my goodness. And then, what are the careers of some of your other children?
Well, Alan's son, his oldest, works
Junior.
For the government. Alan Jr. works for the right. And his younger son works for an architectural firm. And my oldest biological son is a master mechanic. He lives in Roanoke. And then Ryan is the comedian. And let me say, and then Oat, our oldest Vietnamese son, works for Prince William County Schools and also has a landscaping business.
It's a landscaping business.
Yeah, and Dong, who is our Chinese son, works, he lives in Seattle, and he's a manager of like an internet firm there. And
imports.
Imports. And Fong also works for the government here in D.C. And then for the the 4 that we adopted, one just recently got a new job and at Safeway, and then one works for Federal Express. One is in Alabama, and then the one is a student at Mount St. Mary's. He's a junior this year, and he's actually in London this semester studying abroad. So,
well, kudos to you all for doing that. I get from you like this joy of doing it. So, if you want to leave our viewers with one piece of advice about if they're thinking about, well, I might want to adopt, why should they do it?
Well, I did it because it was just a heartfelt thing to do.
Okay.
I would suggest that you look at your heart and finances too, but and also if you're going to adopt and adopt older children, make sure you get plenty of training, because the older kids come with baggage that you don't know of or that you don't know how to handle, and you need to get some training prior to that.
Wow. It can certainly be a challenge, but another thing too is it's a lifelong commitment. Just like with your own children, they may be grown, but they're always your children, and so. It's like you think, okay, well, they're, 27, 24, but, they still come.
It's a life. I can
the problems just get bigger.
I can say amen.
So,
wow. Well, you all are just role models and inspiration.
Well, thank you.
And I feel
it
privileged
has been fun.
to have you on the
regardless
show.
of how much of a challenge it's been, I think we have a lot of laughs and so many stories to tell. So it's fun.
I can see the joy. Well, thank you, Alan and Debbie, for being on the show.
You're so welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for asking us.
I'd also like to thank Sister Marsha and Sister Rita, and of course, Alan and Debbie White for being incredible guests. Our quote this time is from the Dalai Lama 14. Happiness is not something that comes ready-made. It comes from your own actions. So thank you for watching Ingrid's World, and don't forget to friend us on Facebook and follow us through Twitter, Ingrid's World VA, as well as Instagram for instant Ingrid World news. So stay in touch and please be a blessing to someone today.